Você está ao vivo? Acho que agora sim, acho que estou ao vivo. Eu acho que vocês nunca me chegaram a ouvir há pouco, né? E agora finalmente fiquei ao vivo. Aleluia. Estava aqui a falar para o boneco faz uma hora. Dizia eu, trouxe este aqui. Está-me a fazer companhia um capítulo por noite. Historinha para crianças, uma aventura na pousada misteriosa. Isto é só para apresentar aí ao pessoal do Geocaching. Este livro de Ana Maria Magalhães e Isabel Alçada fala um bocadinho de geocaching. Aliás, conta uma aventura de geocaching, um bocado, pronto, à historinha, principalmente para criança e com mais alguma motivação. Mas é interessante, leiam se querem saber a opinião destas senhoras sobre o que é o geocaching. Por acaso está engraçado algumas descrições das aventuras, mas pronto. Creio que agora sim estou ao vivo e não tenho ninguém. Ainda há bem pouco tempo tinha pessoas, agora deixei de ter, seja quem for na live, mas acho que agora está a funcionar. E pronto, hoje então é para se juntarem aí com a chávena de chá. Vamos ver um documentário sobre o Kungsleden, somente e apenas isso. E depois fecho o vídeo no final, contar um pouco do que eu espero que seja esta aventura em 2021. Agora sim já dá, diz o Tosé. Aleluia, consegui estar em direto para o YouTube. Pá, isto mudou tudo e eu não faço ideia como é que o YouTube está a funcionar nas lives. Está assim meio semelhante ao Facebook e eu acho que isto é péssimo. É bem pior do que o que tínhamos. Mas pronto, está feito, está feito. O grupo de visualização está aí preparado. Eu, assim que puder, começo o vídeo. E pá, queria o Adriano aí junto também, pelo menos. Já estão 3 pessoas, eu não sei se ele já está aí a ver ou não. E já partilhei no Facebook. Já agora deixem-me partilhar aí mais um grupinho ou outro do Zap Zap. E ver se desta vai. Pronto. Vamos a isso. Ver então um videozinho do Kungsleden, um documentário sobre o Kungsleden. Vou partilhar aqui com a família se alguém se quiser juntar também. Espero bem. Se ouvirem barulho de mensagens ou coisa do género, pá, avisem aí nos comentários, que é para eu saber o que é que se está a passar. E vão comentando comigo, lembrando que eu não estou a transmitir em baixa latência, portanto vai haver aí uns 5 segundos de delay, ok? Aí o Adriano já está, aí eu vou começar o vídeo, estamos 3, chegamos, vamos lá começar. Vou alterar aqui. Eu bem digo, isto ficou tudo muito mais complicado. Eles tentam mudar e só complicam as coisas. E vamos começar o vídeo.
I didn't sleep at all last night and my throat is just on fire, my skin's hurting and I generally just feel very unwell. I'm not looking forward to hiking 16 kilometers today.
Aquilo é como nós vamos ficar no fim de caminharmos 400 km, Adriano. Antes de mais, para quem quiser ver o documentário na própria página, em melhor qualidade, o link está na descrição. E por algum motivo, isto trocou-se um bocado para os ecrãs do computador.
Reaching the Kungsleden is an adventure in itself, with our first leg of the journey involving a flight from London to Stockholm. Located in the northernmost section of Sweden, in the heart of Lapland, there are numerous methods for reaching Abisko, which is at the start of the trail in the north. We've chosen to catch the overnight train, which had us sharing a 6-berth cabin with a young German couple who were also heading to Abisko.
And you organized the trip by internet, or you're just friends from many years ago and you met
last year?
last year?
They were living in a van.
Cool.
We were living in a car.
Now you live on the train.
In a tent.
Eles organizaram o
It
percurso
was
em
autumn
ano.
2014 when we met Cody and Justina in the Lofoten Islands of northern Norway. A chance conversation through Twitter turned into a campfire on the beach, and it was 6 months later in Germany when we hashed out plans to all walk the trail together. The Kungsleden is one of the most well-known trails in Sweden, with many people exploring it during the summer and winter seasons.
Basicamente estes 2 casais vão percorrer ou vão tentar percorrer o trilho completo.
We've just arrived at Abisko mountain station. The weather's really nice. It's nice and cool, brilliant hiking weather, and yeah, I can't wait to get on the trail. I'm feeling surprisingly fresh after a 20-hour train journey.
Parte que eu mais gosto do vídeo.
15 exactly.
I wish it was 13. Well, what can you do? Yeah.
Oh,
24.
Oh my.
Oh wow.
Are you gonna survive?
No.
No. The Swedish Tourist Association created the trail in the early 1900s as a way to bring more people into the last largest remaining wilderness in Europe, gradually adding more sections to the trail as years went by, until it reached its current length of 440 kilometres in the 1970s. It's possible to hike the trail with limited food during the open season to lighten your load, as many cabins have small shops with basic supplies which are run by the hut wardens during the open season. This method can be quite costly, which is why many people hike with 5 to 7 days worth of food at a time and can instead buy luxury items such as Coke or extra chocolate from the cabin stores.
We're in a Bisco Euro, which is the first hut of the trail, 15 kilometres in and totally knackered, looking forward to some dinner.
SDF has 21 cabins placed from Abisko to Hemavan along the Kungsleden, providing shelter for a small fee with shared accommodation, water sources and camping spots. Many also have saunas and small shops, which is a real benefit after a long day's hiking.
o FTF é a instituição responsável pelo trilho e pelo Parque Natural, a quem eu já escrevi a pedir informação. Se bem que eles recomendaram-me ler muito. Não se faz.
Slept really well last night. All of us did, I think. Even though I was up till quite late, watching the Northern Lights was just incredible to see that on our first night on the Kungsleden.
A 20-kilometre day to Alasjara is accomplished with 300 metres elevation, on towards a windswept alpine and blueberry-infused meadow with views overlooking the Norwegian peaks over the border. The possibility of completing the entire trail during September looked thin. A number of people had told us we may need to step off the trail at Kvikkjokk, halfway through the trip. Alasjara has a fantastic water system, drawing water up the hill from the river to allow hikers easy access to fresh water.
Isso é uma preocupação, a água.
It's really fresh. Icy cold.
Tal como no Jerez. Eu adoro estas pontes.
We began the slow and steady ascent towards the highest area of the entire trail, arriving at the small cabin at Chakcha, snow still clinging to the mountainside in large quantities, adding a chill to the air.
Em pleno verão, com esta neve toda por lá.
So we just arrived and had lunch at the hut. It's our third day on the Kungsleden and it was really nice weather again today, which was brilliant. We've got our own room, which is amazing, so we should be able to get a really nice night's sleep. And down here we've got some wood. There's a wood burner just behind me, which is really cool. Keep the room nice and toasty throughout the night. The weather's not too good tomorrow, it's forecast to rain, so You just got to bear that in mind and wrap up warm.
E trabalhar para a comunidade, já
Everyone
que lá tem.
contributes to the huts by chopping wood, sweeping the floors, and fetching fresh water from the rivers.
Parecem confortáveis os abrigos.
Reaching a height of 1,100 metres, Chakcha Pass is the highest point along the Kungsleden. From its summit there are majestic views of Chakcha Valley, a beautiful area which will take a couple of days to walk through. At around 32 kilometres long, the glacial valley is well loved by many. As impressive mountains line the sides, waterfalls make their way into the meandering river, and the cabin settlement at Solka is situated 12 kilometres from Chakcha, with reindeer grazing on the hillside.
The thing is though, like when you've been hiking for 4 days and you get a big meal like this, it just makes all the difference because you just feel powered, ready for the next section.
So we're gonna eat in 26 more days.
Couscous.
The northernmost section of the trail is by far the most popular, and thousands of people each year split off the Kungsleden at Singi to venture past, and ascend if they feel up to it, Mount Kebnekaise, Sweden's highest mountain. From here they end their journey at Nikkaluokta. Passing Singi, the crowds noticeably thin, and continue to do so for the remainder of the trail.
My legs are in agony today. It's so hard on this rocky path. It's just relentless, but hopefully the next hut is about a kilometre away. We still can't see it, but really fingers crossed we haven't got too much to go.
I had begun to have troubles of tendinitis in my hip, an old injury which had flared up after a few days, and unfortunately, running out of painkillers, there was nothing to numb the pain.
Ora, os supermercados tipo mini preço.
Here
Yeah.
and here, and now in winter they are there.
Okay. Is it a mother
Yeah.
and baby or two big
No,
ones?
there are two mothers and two.
Two babies.
No, two men.
Okay.
So
And
maybe
two ladies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moose sighting today at Katamyare.
Pá, eu gostava de ter a sorte de ver umas mousses também.
Yeah, we were
Moose.
skiing in was it last year, and we were at Kebnekaise,
Yeah.
and it was deep snow, and I was going first, and it's going downhill, and so I ski around the corner, and she had crashed, so I'm kind of waiting for her. I come around the corner, and then two elk there, and then they get up out of the snow and kind of look at me for a second. I'm like, oh shit, like she's back there somewhere, and I have to go like that way, but the elk are in between. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm
do I
like
wait
lying
here?
stuck with my skis. I couldn't move, and oh gosh. Yeah.
But looks like the story turned out well.
Yeah, I didn't get run over. So.
Okay. So if you want to see them in the morning, when do we have to get up?
Yes, I come here and.
Wake us up.
By now we covered roughly 73 kilometres of the trail, and even though it was only a 9-kilometre hike from Katamyara to Tessayara, it was taking its toll on Theo, who was battling a fluey cold.
Oi Marina, tudo bem?
Not looking forward to hiking 16 kilometers today.
There are 7 boat crossings included along the length of the Kungsleden, with the first you reach coming from the north at Tessayara. There's the option to row, but that cuts into your hiking time, and if you're feeling the effects of illness like Theo, then it's worth the luxury to pay for a ride and reserve your energy levels.
Pois
Panoramic glacial views of Sarek National Park come into view across the plateau, a glimpse of the wildest part of Europe. After the steep descent towards Vakatavara, it's a 30-kilometre bus ride to Kebnats on the shore of Lake Langas. For 70 crowns you can bypass a day's trek along the roadside, which everyone seems to do.
vai ser uma boa ideia pagar pelo barco. O autocarro é que já não me agrada tanto. E nem toda a gente na Suécia fala assim tanto inglês como eu pensava que se falava. Uma viagem agradável de autocarro. Isto, descansar pelo caminho não vale, é batota. Na Suécia, Kungsleden é perto da Lapónia. A Lapónia é mais na Noruega, na Finlândia, desculpem, na Finlândia, e o trilho, se começasse na Finlândia, começava precisamente na parte onde se diz que o Pai Natal está lá a viver com as renas. Parte da Lapónia faz parte deste parque natural também, portanto, o início do trilho ainda pertence à Lapónia.
It's a 10-minute ferry ride across the lake to the mountain station at Soltuluokta. Here lies a popular gateway for many to enter Sarek National Park, an area with no designated trails and complete wilderness.
Sim, vamos andar com muito dinheiro, até porque o dinheiro lá comparativamente com o euro é mais baixo. Eles agora nem sei se não têm euro, não.
Soltuluokta is the first place to recharge camera gear, and we made the most to have the modern amenities at the lodge.
You gotta keep the blisters clean, otherwise they get infected and I'll be in pain. Well, a lot more pain than I already am in.
The impressive lodge was built in 1918 and offers hikers the chance to restock their supplies for the coming days in their well-stocked shop.
Tens que ir às compras com dinheiro, tens que pagar os barcos com dinheiro e tens que pagar outras atividades se necessário com dinheiro, e à partida os abrigos já ficam pagos de início, portanto não tem esse problema, é a única coisa que não é preciso dinheiro. E não há cartões, obviamente, porque não há net durante grande parte do percurso, muitas zonas não têm net e muito pessoal nem sequer entende inglês, portanto vai ser agradável.
Views overlooking Sjöfjellsdalen provided a stunning backdrop as we left Soltuluokta, with 66 kilometres to go until our halfway point at Kvikjok. A late summer seemed to have descended upon us, so we took our time to reach Sittiara.
That's perfect.
Lá a moeda é Swedish krona, que vale tipo 1 euro, vale para aí 10 moedas deles. Temos preparadíssimos, já temos uns aplicativos tipo aqueles, fogão, latinha, aliás panelinha.
So about 9 kilometres into the hike today, we've got another 11 to go. We just took some shelter from the wind in this little cabin, which is really cool. Cooked a mugshot, and now we're going to head off. Should take us about 2 hours to get to our destination for tonight. Hopefully some Northern Lights action tonight as well. That would be really nice.
E lá
With
estão
only
eles a
11
comer
kilometres
noodles.
to go, I had to slow it down with my tendinitis. The pain was unbearable. Once I reached the cabin, I immediately went to bed, whilst Theo joined Justina as she bathed her sore ankle in the lake. Her injury seemed to be worsening as the days went by, slowing her down and having to share more of her load with Cody.
Tenta não ter tendinites, Adriano.
Oh my... Oh.
It's cold.
So cold. Oh.
Sittiara has a private boat service run by a local family, but there's also the option to row for free.
I was here 2 years and a day ago. Same weather, perfect conditions. I thought it would be cool to shoot a time lapse as I rode the boat over the lake. Except for my camera didn't quite agree, nor did the boat, and my camera decided to go swimming in the lake, which resulted in the end of that trip. Hopefully this time I make up for it with perfect northern lights with my tent on the top of Skirfe and that'll be worth the $5,000 price tag that it cost me last time.
Pratar ni svenska? English?
English.
Okay. Are you hiking together?
Yeah.
All
Vem
four
para
of
cá
you?
o vosso
Or-
dinheiro.
Yeah.
What country are you from? Germany.
We're from England,
Okay.
but
I'm from California.
Okay.
Portanto, deem cá o vosso dinheiro e se querem seguir viagem, depois logo falamos.
Considering it's a 4-kilometre journey, the £200 price tag is worth it if it means less time spent on the water and the opportunity for some insider knowledge.
You will see them coming. As long as you just don't stand and wave it, because then you will be afraid.
Yeah.
Just behind a rock or something like no place and sit still. Then they will pass you.
Primeiro gostei na live. Pessoal, deixem o vosso gostei. Obrigado a quem o deixou, já somos 5.
We've been informed by the boat operator of the Sami herding an enormous reindeer herd down to lower ground that day, so we made our way swiftly to the plateau to find a spot to watch the incredible sight.
Hot, sweaty, and I'm looking forward to a coke.
Isto aqui é espetacular. O problema é se elas se revoltam contra nós. É fantástico. Só falta ali o Pai Natal e a neve.
We were just surrounded by 1,000 reindeer, sitting on top of a pretty big rock, but could have been a little bit bigger. Yeah, there's usually a few rogues.
Did you see it?
yeah, we saw the whole thing. It looked very daredevil on that rock. Is how close did they get?
So
they're
close.
surrounding us.
Really? It looked amazing from over here.
Still on a high from the incredible sight they'd witnessed, Theo and Cody took a popular detour from the trail to the famous Skerfa with stunning views over Rappadollin.
Everyone's told us it's impossible to camp up here because it's too rocky, but I think I've found a few spots that should be doable. If you're in a one-person tent, there's lots of places, but two-person tent might be a little tricky. Otherwise, find a nice flat rock and have an open-air bivvy and watch the northern lights overhead from the warmth of the sleeping bags.
A paisagem é
Don't think
brutal
life gets
aqui.
much better than that. I think right here. A little bit up. A couple rocks, but I think it's gonna be our best bet for our
The lack of water sources within the surrounding area, combined with the rocky landscape, makes camping out atop Skerfa a challenge in itself, but it's undoubtedly worth it. Justina and I had carried on towards the cabin at Axt. With a swollen ankle and tendinitis between us, it was vital we rest as much as possible or else risk having to drop out.
looking good. Home for the night. A little bit crooked home. But home.
Bocado inclinado, eu não conseguia
Which side do you
dormir
want?
assim.
Upside or downside?
Bem, provavelmente ia estar a dormir com as pernas
bem.
penduradas no fundo. Um pouco loucura.
You want to roll onto me or be rolled on by me?
Exato. A questão é precisamente essa.
got couscous tonight, pretty much every night. Pretty bored of it right now, to be honest. But it gets me full.
E então, qual é a vossa preferência? Serem amassados ou amassarem alguém? A colocação da tenda é fantástica. E a paisagem é que é brutal aqui.
Very much for the morning. It was a bit windy last night. I'm almost out of water, 2 sips left to hike the 6 kilometers back to the hut. Got a bit of a head cold, but yeah, it's worth being up. Wouldn't trade this for anything.
Theo and Cody joined us in Axt, where they had a chance to catch up on the little sleep they'd had the night before after watching the northern lights atop Scurfer. One kilometre from Axt lies Lake Latura, which we crossed on the last operational day of the STF motorboat. There is now only 7 days left until the rowboats are pulled from the lakes for winter storage, meaning our group must reach Hornavan on the outskirts of Jakvik, roughly 117 kilometres away before then, where the only option of crossing the lake is by rowboat. The journey over the lake is the 4th boat crossing along the trail, and with Sarek looming in the background, it's one of the most stunning.
This is a flowing bridge,
Okay.
so maximum 3 person at a time, or it will
Sink.
yes.
It's a strenuous hike towards Porter, but it's also through a thin stretch of the eastern section of Sarek National Park. Fields of blueberries surround the path. We even saw evidence of a nearby brown bear after passing its scat on the trail.
Agora pontos brutais, por sítios brutais. Aqui nem era preciso ponto, não é? Uma pessoa pode saltar de um lado para o outro.
We didn't know it at the time, but these would be our last days hiking together.
Não falta água aqui, Adriano. Não sei se
So after a long discussion
para baixo.
yesterday evening, Cody and Justina have come to the decision that it's probably best that they end the trail here due to Justina's ongoing leg injury. She's been struggling for a while and can't carry on any further, so they're going to stop here, we're going to carry on, and we're excited to get to Hemavan eventually. We're nearly halfway and can't wait to see what the south has to offer.
Other than the prospect of an early onset of winter, injury was the second biggest factor in ending the trail prematurely. It was with a heavy heart that we parted ways, as Cody was struggling with the weight of his pack and Justina's ankle had worsened. They opted to take a bus to Amarnas 166 kilometres away, have some rest and possibly rejoin from there to complete the southernmost section of the trail.
Isto é que é uma pena, desistir a meio.
You come. Yeah. Nice.
Do you want to take the camera?
I take the camera.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And life jacket.
No, it's not necessary.
The Kungsleden begins again on the other side of Sagat Lake, with the only option across via a private boat service, which also offers tours of the area.
So how far are you hiking today?
Somewhere between 15 to 20 kilometres,
All right.
depending how we feel.
Yeah, I see. Yes. Kan ni gå till
As pessoas parecem
jag
todas
blev
muito
lite
frias.
försenad, jag var tvungen att vänta på folk, så att, kan ni gå till bryggan? Den.
Vart ska jag ta
Ja,
kaffe?
nej, det var du ja. Varsågod. Okej.
Parecia,
Off we go.
parecia os barquinhos que levavam antigamente os professores à escola.
Bjorn was a friendly guy who shared a ton of information with us regarding the next section of the trail to Yakvik.
What kind of wildlife do you get around here?
Yeah, we have rangers, of course, and wolverines, and the elks, otters, so a lot of different kind of fish, and hares, a lot of birds, owls, etc. Both the sea eagle and golden ivy.
Oh wow.
Isto é...
After being roped into an extensive 45-minute tour of the delta, we finally made our way into the section of the Kungsleden dubbed the toughest. 166 kilometres with no SDF cabins means that a tent is a necessity.
E cá está a secção sem tenda, ou então fazes 100 km num dia. O que é muito.
Leaving Kvikkjokk, it seemed everyone's concerns over the onset of an early winter were squashed, as autumn still reigned high in the mountains. The possibility of completing the entire Kungsleden trail were now high, and with that thought running through our minds, it gave us a new push to reach the end.
Há umas destas na Decathlon, exatamente iguais. Não, Adriano, tens que levar a tenda.
This is a really nice shelter. We've had a late lunch and there's still quite a few hours of daylight left, so we're just going to carry on because we want to reach the boat before the really bad weather hits on Friday, and the boats are getting pulled on Friday or Saturday anyway, so we're keen to just get there and get it over with. After another 10 to 15 kilometres, we set up camp next to a river, relieved to have made it so far that day and to escape into the tent just before the rain started.
Sim, mas não é tão arrumável como a nossa, aquele bico de fogão. Mas há exatamente iguais na Decathlon e atualmente eles são mais baratos. O meu já é velhinho, mas custou 3 euros num mega salto. E são bicos, são bicos que rondam uns 20 euros. Inclusivamente estes são mais leves e tudo, mas não justifica gastar 20 euros num bico quando tenho um perfeitamente utilizável. Não.
Probably like one of the best smashes we've had. It tastes really, really smashy.
Batata em
The butter
pó.
and potato is very strong in this one.
Oh.
You start to notice these things when you've had a couple of different varieties. And these vegetables so much. I find myself thinking about like salad and vegetables when I'm walking along sometimes. Sometimes all the time. Just like peas, potatoes, carrots, peppers, sweet potato, mushrooms, onions, garlic, just fresh stuff. Living out of packet's fun for the first day, and then after a while it gets a bit tedious. It's all part of the adventure.
My feet aren't looking too good. The blisters are just peeling off all over the place. Today didn't help, walking through loads of boggy areas. Hopefully I can dry them out overnight, put some fresh socks on in the morning, and they'll heal up in the next few days. We're a lot higher up on the top of the mountain tonight, and it's a lot cooler than it was last night, but still not too bad. I've managed to make a nice little pillow out of this dry bag full of clothes. Works quite well. I think it's time to hit the set.
Agora o pessoal está aqui desentendido. O Adriano estava a dizer que o bico do fogão que eles usam parece mais estável que o nosso. Será que assim se entende melhor? É que eu não estou a ver o Adriano a conseguir explicar sem nos comentários. Eu também não percebi logo à primeira o que é que ele queria dizer com parede.
Well, last night I've got stuff coming out of my ear that I don't even know what it is. Definitely got a pretty bad ear infection, so I just can't wait to get warm and dry and try and heal.
Isto é que é mau. Como assim? Como é que ele infectou?
Had begun to transform under the constant rainfall. With perforated eardrums, his risk of developing an ear infection was high, a situation which unfortunately seemed to be unfolding.
Isto é a pior coisa que pode acontecer. Oh, meu Deus.
The boats were due to be removed from the lake on September 20th. It would be a massive blow if we missed them, as the alternative would require a major trail-less detour to reach Yakvik. We were nearing Lake Reebness and picked up patchy signal, allowing us to call the private boat in advance to let them know of our arrival. They'd said we could cross that afternoon, so we had high hopes of possibly reaching Yakvik that evening, as we'd read the trail was only 8 kilometres from the other side of the lake, which also included another lake crossing of 300 metres that can only be crossed by rowboat. Unfortunately, our timetable lay in the hands of the boat driver, and we had a 3-hour wait in the rain before he arrived.
We're just waiting to get the motorboat over to the other side of this big lake. It's the last boat we're going to have to pay to use to get across on the Kungsleden trail. After we reach the other side, there's then I think roughly about 8-kilometre trek to Yakvik, but during that time there's also a 300-metre rowboat session as well, so it's going to be a pretty long day today, but we really need to get somewhere warm because both our shoes are for some reason absolutely drenched, and 2 days of soggy feet does not make a happy person. It's just been raining constantly since we left Kvikjok, and this section of the trail that we're on is like the wildest section, so there aren't as many boards and all that kind of luxurious stuff that there usually is, so it's been very wet going with the rain on top. Both of our waterproof boots are drenched, so it's not been the most comfortable experience. I'm hoping that after we get to Yakvik and we can dry out, the second half of the wild section will be more enjoyable, and hopefully even if it does rain our boots will stay dry this time, because it is beautiful when the clouds clear and you can see your surroundings, but right now you can't even see to the other side of the lake, so I think we've missed a lot of the beautiful scenery that we could have seen, which is a shame.
E aquele cão, parecia um lobo. Fantástico.
The cost to cross the lake is the highest along the Kungsleden at 350 crowns each. The journey is short and the company hostile. We'd heard from other hikers who'd crossed the lake coming north that the guy running the boat here wasn't the nicest, and now we knew why, as he ignored us for the full 5-minute crossing. Having to wait up to 3 hours to cross the lake, we had now missed our opportunity to hike to the open shelter at the next lake crossing 8 kilometers away.
São cerca de 35 euros para atravessar esta parte do...
The hostel and a chance to dry off was still a day away, and after checking our map, it turned out the distance to Jakvik was double what was in the guide we'd been following.
Mas a paisagem é lindíssima, mesmo assim no
It's not the boat
lado.
we've got to use. It doesn't look very rowable.
So because there's only one boat on our side, I've got to row across the lake to the other side, pick up another boat, bring it back, drop it here, then row us both back to the other side of the lake. So 3 times in total. I'm feeling pretty dizzy. My balance is a bit off with this ear infection, but it doesn't look too far, probably about 300 meters, so it's got to be done.
Portanto, bora buscar o outro barquinho e depois atravessar. Sim, e convém despejar água primeiro. Não vou ficar afundados ainda com mais água. Vai lá sozinho, se afundares eu chamo alguém. No work que se pôs, chama a travessia.
So I'm back over this side after towing the boat over here, and we're going to head off now because it's just started raining and it's about to get a lot heavier.
Trabalho escravo. Adriano, quem rema és tu.
By now we were wet through to our underwear and had run out of dry clothes. The desperation to reach a warm shelter was high.
We just saw a moose trotting through the forest at the edge of the tree line, and sadly the moment the camera got pulled out it had vanished. But it was massive, and I can't believe we've just seen one after being literally in the middle of nowhere for 3 days, and now we're on a road. And there was one right there, because we've seen so many moose droppings over the past few days.
São no mínimo 7 travessias.
It's still in the forest right where we saw it. It's just kind of shaded by some trees. Just standing there, not moving a muscle.
São 7 travessias, só uma delas é que tem que ser feita com barco a motor, portanto é melhor levar o motor às costas. Pesa menos que a mochila.
Theo managed to pick up signal on the outskirts of town, calling the hostel to check availability. It turned out it was fully booked. A stroke of luck saw us staying in a cabin the kind hostel owner had on his property, so we spent 2 nights in the town of Jakvik, giving us the opportunity to dry out all our belongings and restock our supplies.
There's a small garage, well, normal sized garage that's got a small supermarket inside it where we've managed to get food to last until we reach Amanus. So the general stuff, noodles and things like smash and 3-minute rice. Like, it's pretty bland, but it means that we'll be getting to eat food until we reach the next place, because you need stuff that's going to cook fast and not weigh too much. So, but also because we're staying in this cabin, we've got access to an oven and stuff that we don't usually have. We've decided to like treat ourselves and get other things like some waffle mixture, fresh fruit, which is going to be amazing, and a pizza kit.
Pizza kit, montes de
Our gear could
Coca-Colas.
completely
como
dry out during the 2 nights we spent there, and a solid day's rest made a world of difference for us both. Spirits buoyed with the extra rest and thorough drying, restocked bags and lots of ibuprofen, we made our way to Adolfstrom, our last dip into a town before being completely cut off again. From Jakvik onwards, there are shelters and cabins along the rest of the trail, so if we could avoid tent time, then we would, at all costs.
We spent last night in Adolfstrom in this perfect little cabin. It had everything we need, but it's very compact. Today we've got 23 kilometers to do, then the next day 25, and then the day after that we arrive in Amarnes, which is I think a 21 kilometer hike. So a tough 3 days ahead of us, but we're feeling good.
The small town of Adolfstrom is a 27-kilometre hike from Jakvik, with a small shop to grab any extras for the next 71 kilometres before the town of Amarnes.
Estão ali que nem uns reis, ainda se queixam. Epá, mas fantástico, não é? Resupply, cheio de Coca-Colas e ibuprofeno e coisa do género. Acho que foi mais de pastilhas o resupply.
It was well over a kilometre back. I bent round the corner, I was about to give up, and there it was lying on the path. I'm glad I've been reunited with it, because no one needs to see my hair in the state that it's in at the moment.
Fantástico. Eu penso sempre quanto é que aquela ponte pode cair, mas nunca se sabe quando é que aquilo cai.
When we came around the corner and saw this cabin, I was just so happy, because along the route we spoke to loads of different people and everyone seems to have a different idea of what this cabin is. Loads of people have said it's just a wind shelter, you know, it might not even have a door, and all these kind of different things about this cabin, and we got here and it's really nice and it's perfect to sleep in. So I've just got the fire going. Hopefully we can dry our boots out before the morning, because I'm not a fan of putting wet boots on, and I've had to do it a lot recently. Wet socks, wet boots, no fun.
Tenho as minhas dúvidas sobre quanto boas são as botas para ir. Às tantas, umas sapatilhas que deixem sair água não são capazes de funcionar pior.
I love being in a tent, but to have actual walls around you is a lot nicer, especially when it's pretty windy out.
Só assim para ter uma ideia, aquele colchão custa cerca de $180, o que dá muitos euros cá, mais taxas de importação.
Amarnes lay a day's hike away, and the need for rest pressed heavily on us. Theo's ear infection still troubled him, with fluid constantly seeping out, day or night. My hip problems were getting increasingly worse, and together we longed for a day's rest, a shower, and the possibility of some food other than 3-minute rice. Justina had been in touch, informing us they'd journeyed from Amarnes a week before. The chance of crossing the finish line together now was no longer an option. After the past tough 10 days, we expected the last stretch to be a lot easier. With 78 kilometres to go until the finish line in Hemavan and a few days rest in Amarnes, we entered the last stretch with a renewed sense of vigour. The end was in our sights, and winter was beginning to bite at our heels.
Incrível como é que
The area was outstanding, and we were ecstatic with the clear views after being covered by clouds and fog for so long. Wide open spaces and golden forests broke up the landscape. If only we could have seen what awaited us in the coming days.
É incrível como quem parecia estar em melhores condições foi quem ficou para trás.
Thinking we were the only people around, we were in for a wonderful surprise as we met 2 local fishermen staying in their ancestral family cabins for the season at Lake Tarnasio. They had kindly offered us some freshly caught fish along with some instant mashed potato.
potatismos to fish.
Thank you. Thank you.
Que bom. Também quero comida de borla quando lá for. Has de passar nas pontes todas, se tudo correr bem.
We have only fished 2 days.
Okay. What type of fish is it?
It's in Swedish we call it öring,
Herring.
like lax,
Okay.
like a lax fish.
Uh-huh.
Öring. In restaurant, this is a very special fish,
Okay.
calling röding.
Okay.
Röding, red. The color is red, and röding. Very special. You must have one fish for you, and one for your boyfriend. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing this with us. It's very kind of you. It's really kind of you. We look forward to eating them.
With the amenities in the cabin being a frying pan and some salt, we cooked up a meal we never dreamed we'd encounter along the trail.
They're cooking perfectly on this wood burner. I've never really cooked fish like this before, so I just literally chop the heads off and just back them in the pan, but they smell real good, so as long as the meat is cooked, I don't see why they won't taste good either. Especially with the mash that the man gave us as well, which is really sweet. This is like a proper dinner, which I've missed so much since we've been hiking for nearly a month now.
Aquilo parece mesmo um salmão. Será que sabe a salmão também?
Leaving Tarnisio, there are a network of bridges spanning the Tarnisio archipelago, midway to Sitastugan.
We're now approaching bridge number 5.
By now all the huts were closed for winter, but there's always a room left open for anyone hiking out of season. It was a stark contrast to the busy huts of the north, especially as we hadn't seen another person on the trail since Quikyok 10 days earlier.
I'm so happy that you can't record the smell of my feet right now. It dawned on me today that we've done already like 400 and something kilometres, and it's just catching up now. I suddenly just feel the exhaustion of 4 weeks of non-stop hiking, and I'm just totally shattered. Like when we started this southern section, I remember saying to Theo, it's going to be so easy, we're only doing 14 a day or whatever. Today was the hardest 14 kilometres. My feet are just broken. I have no energy. I'm so tired. The Kungsleden is now taking its energy toll. I need to sleep. I need to eat. I just want to eat.
We haven't seen anyone hiking for nearly 2 weeks, which is kind of strange really, because in the north section we see people every day. And today I woke up, rushed to the window and had a look out to see what the weather was like, and there's a lot of fresh snow on the mountain tops, which kind of means the weather's changing and the seasons are changing, and this is kind of the last time that you'll be able to hike the trail. We're very late in the season to be doing it, and I think we're definitely the last people who are going to complete the trail.
Pois é, começou a nevar e o pessoal daí já conhece, já não se mete para o caminho assim. Já é loucura. Oh, mais pontos, Adriano. Tens aí mais pontos para passarmos.
It wouldn't be fair to have a breezy last 2 days along the trail, and with a blizzard pushing against us to Vitaskalstugan, it was a reminder of the harsh environment we've been journeying through and how quickly the weather can change in the mountains.
O objetivo é ir cedo e não apanhar algo assim.
We down pretty hard.
This isn't very nice. Hopefully we'll get to the emergency shelter in the next few kilometres.
We'd made it into our final valley and our harshest weather along the trail so far. Completely exposed, it was a welcoming sight to spot the emergency cabin midway to our final cabin on this journey to hide in for a while.
That was relentless the whole way. We had rain, sleet and snow in our face. It was pretty hard work, plus the wind was coming at us, so it was a lot harder to walk, but I did kind of enjoy it as well, because coming into the valley there's fresh snow on the peaks and the mountains either side. It was really beautiful. Also we stopped off at the emergency cabin, so that gave us a bit of rest from the snow and the wind and the rain, and yeah, allowed us to just have a break, get some chocolate down us and then head on and get to this cabin. And now we've only got 11 kilometres to go until we've completed the Kungsleden.
Então, Zé, tu ficas lá numa cabaninha aquecida, com um jacuzzi, aquecido a lenha
Never
também.
appreciated the wood burners in any of the cabins as much as I have today. It's going to dry our clothes out hopefully, warm us up, and we can cook on it later.
Alguém aqui
The
no...
snowfall grew heavier and heavier, and as we went to bed it had already completely blanketed the landscape. We were preparing ourselves for a whiteout the following morning. A fierce storm had descended upon the valley in the night, rattling the cabin and flinging the door wide open. The extreme weather called for full body armour along the last 11 kilometres before Hemavan.
Ready?
Passar por uma temperatura assim dispenso bastante.
Insanely strong wind and hail battered us body and spirit. It felt as if we would never make it to Hemavan. Our GoPro took the full brunt of the weather, but the stormy horizon had a beautiful side to it too.
A GoPro aguenta. Não tem problema.
And there it was. The final few steps were unbelievable. After 440 kilometres through Arctic Sweden, on day 30, we'd finally made it.
É engraçado que eles vieram pôr a câmara primeiro para depois repetirem a chegada e fazerem o espetáculo todo da chegada. No fim de 400 km ainda pensarem sobre isso. Ainda por cima com o temporal que apanharam. É completamente louco. Acho que isto ainda tem os bloopers no fim. Os bloopers. Yeah.
Probably the best boat ride I've ever been on.
Os gajos já não lhes chegam os pesos que levam, ainda levam aquela câmara toda atrás. Pois é.
So all of our hiking gear's up here in the storage, and we got 6 people sleeping in here tonight. It's gonna smell ripe in the morning.
Bom, este é o melhor documentário que eu vi sobre o Kungsleden e foi o que me levou a querer ir, né? Eu também não quero apanhar um temporal destes, sinceramente, Adriano. Não me apetece nada, mas pronto. A paisagem é incrível. limpa que ela vai se molhar toda outra vez. Já podes limpar de novo. Espetacular. O trabalhinho de gravar isto tudo. Tem aqui umas imagens muito porreiras das colocações da câmara, só o trabalhinho que lhe deram. Eu tenho aqui, acho que tem uma imagem final ainda muito mais fixe da colocação da câmara. Está visto. Está na hora de ir dormir e terminar o chá. Esta aqui. O trabalho que dá a fazer uma boa imagem. E o molhar os pés. Eu não sei se ia tão longe. É loucura. Ainda ter paciência para fazer isto no final. Desapareceu. Vamos. Estavas a dizer bochecha ou bocejar? Quando se boceja, mete-se a mão à frente. É? Parece que não foi trabalhado. O trabalho que dá a captar 5 segundos de imagem. Mas pronto, brutalíssimo. Brutalíssimo o vídeo. E estamos no ir. Ei, ei. Gostam dos meus Angry Birds aqui atrás? São bonitos, não são? Bom, pessoal, está na hora de ir dormir. Tivemos 3 pessoas a visualizar, tanta gente. Portanto, basicamente fomos às 3, acredito eu. Espero que tenham gostado da live. Se não gostaram, não foi mal. Haverá outras. Isto enquanto se está em quarentena é assim mesmo. É para se vendo umas coisas. Se calhar a próxima faço, mas é no Facebook. Para ser grupo de visualização mais agradável. E pronto, até amanhã, meninos. Até à próxima e fiquem bem.